Okay, welcome to a front three midweek Champions League special with the front three, of course, myself, Big Will, Coach Dan, and of course, the prodigy himself, AJ. How are we, fellas? Have we enjoyed this week's action in Europe?
The action has been scintillating. And I feel like, well, in our previous episode, all my, predictions, maybe bar, maybe one, have been great. So for me, it's been a good week. And it's good to watch Champions League football. It's the creme de la creme. So, yeah, man.
I think we would all agree. Finally, it's beginning to look a lot like Champions League, innit?
Oh my days! Wow, what a singer!
My vocals came out, AJ.
Yeah, let's keep them locked away.
So let's start off with Man City beating Bayern Munich 3-0 at the Etihad then. Coach, how surprised were you with the fact that Man City pretty much were just dominant against Bayern Munich, especially in the second half?
Yeah, I think the way you ended it is correct in your question, as in how they dominate them. Because I thought the first half, I didn't think there was that big of a difference. It needed a worldie almost to break the deadlock. I thought they were very expansive, but it's weird. It's similar to sort of Leeds against Crystal Palace. They come out second half. There must have been some heated words that were said there, and people maybe not in agreement with each other. But the way they showed up in the second half against Manchester City, when Haaland is playing, you just leave yourself into trouble, man. It just became like mistake after mistake, not meaning to even trying to play out the back. It reminded me when City played Arsenal at the Emirates. At times, Arsenal was shooting themselves in the foot, trying to play out the back.
Yeah.
When City are pressing like that, sometimes you just need to be like, listen, they are the big bosses at this thing. Let's just go long and get ourselves out of trouble.
But Coach, sorry to interrupt you. Why do coaches then? Is it up to the players or to the coaches to change the way things are going on the pitch?
Well, I think the coach's approach is, of course, to play. Mm-hmm. And against Manchester City, when you get so little of the ball, when you do get it, you want to make the most of it, right? And so that's why teams don't want to let the ball go, because once you let it go, you don't know when you're going to get it back. But I think sometimes the players on the pitch, they have to be calculating the game in real time and make decisions. If I'm under pressure, is there an an outlet for me to go long to? But sometimes they're all in their half and there isn't that. And so they try and play it. Listen, there's big rewards to it. Once you play it and you can hit a great ball and they get in behind, you're through. But when you don't and you got killers like Manchester City, camping outside your box, you just leave yourself into trouble. Funny enough, though, none of those really turn into goals. But what it does is it puts your confidence down. When you're trying to play it out and you're not successful at it, your confidence slowly sort of like dries away from your system and your game plan. And then people start losing confidence. You see Upamecano, whatever that fella's name is, he was decent in the second half. I mean, in the first half. Then in the second half, he just lost his head. It was very unfortunate, but nothing too surprising to me. Nothing too surprising, because I say, I was always intrigued to see how Tuchel was set up against Pep. In the EPL, when he was there, he always sat with three at the back. You can't get away with that at Bayern Munich. You can't. And so
he doesn't have the players to play that system, does he? Really?
Well, he doesn't have the players, and I think even if he did wanted to play three at the back, you just can't do stuff like that at Bayern Munich, boys. You can't. They have a system you have to stick to. It's like the Dutch team. They play a 4-3-3. Anyone that tries to deviate from that gets picked on, right? I think Louis van Gaal, some games he got picked on as saying, why are you playing three at the back? Our system is a 4-3-3, and this is how we want to play. And so the German, specifically Bayern Munich anyway, they are a bit rigid in that sense. They've got their formation, and that's what they want to play in. I think, like you said, Big Will, they let the game go in the second half. And I think at 3-0 down, that's a wrap.
AJ, in terms of Man City then, which player stood out for you? I think Bernardo Silva had a stormer.
Listen, I know privately Coach spoke about obviously Ilkay and how good he is. And I said to him, Bernardo Silva's a fabulous player. I think whenever it comes to the big games, Pep trusts Bernardo Silva. And it's like, Bernardo Silva just thrives in these games, man. Like his work rate, the output, but then his quality on the ball and his ability to make decisive decisions in the right moments, and that's what separates the boys to the men, especially at that level of football, making the right decisions at the right times. And he's just a master of it. And just watching him play is actually a joy. Like, he was fabulous on the night. I think Gundogan, I think the City midfield had a very good game.
Yeah.
Rodri, Bernardo, Ilka, I think they had a fantastic.
The back three, even
game.
really. Akanji.
I think the team as a whole, I think, like Coach touched upon, the first half, there wasn't much in it. It took a worldie to break down Bayern. And then, from there, well, it's now City's to take onto Bayern, because City are at home, they've got the crowd behind them and they can smell fear. Coach mentioned it. Once you start making mistakes and once there starts to be, little cracks in your game, it becomes a psychological battle and an emotional thing. And City are just killers. Once they smell blood, they go for the jugular. And but I thought Bernardo Silva was outstanding on the night, honestly. The guy is just a joy to watch. He stood out for me. But it was interesting to see how Tuchel approached it, not starting with Muller, going for a young, well, I say young, but a bright, athletic, quick, front three, if you'd like to call it that, instead of maybe bringing in Muller, to be in there to kind of link the play and things like that. So it's an interesting approach. I think first half, you could see why, but in the second half, I don't know what rocket Pep gave these guys, but they came out absolutely flying. And of course, the errors that started to come into Bayern's game, psychologically, it just wore them down. And then City did what they do best. So yeah, but for me, Bernardo, man, chef's kiss.
In terms of Bayern, then, so now they've let go of Nagelsmann. Tuchel comes in, he loses the game in the German Cup. They now are 3-0 down. AJ, is he already under pressure at Bayern?
Listen, the very moment he signed a deal at Bayern, there was pressure, because what you've got to understand is that when you bring in a new manager or you bring in a new player, they're coming in to be better than what you already had.
I think we lost AJ there. Coach, do you want to pick up from there?
Right, so answer the question
so
again.
Bayern are firing on all fronts in terms of the treble. So in terms of Champions League, the Polka and the league. And then within less than a month of Tuchel being brought in, he's out of the cup and he's 3-0 down in the Champions League. You're looking around and thinking, so was the decision to bring him in justified? Probably not at this showing, because you're out of the cup. You lost to Freiburg, okay, who have made history by beating you and going into the next round of that cup. Okay, so that means that you've only got a double left and you're 3-0 down against Manchester City, who are tipped arguably as the favourites for the Champions League. And you now got overturned a 3-goal deficit. At home, although, which could give you some advantage, but come on, 3-0 to nil, it's a very difficult thing to overcome. So now you're looking at it, you're thinking, really and truly, us bringing this guy in, was it worth it? Because if they got the Champions League, which I believe they will do, they've only got the league left. Of course, on paper, for some will be like, yes, another trophy, they've won something, but we all know the ambition of Bayern. So, for me, it's a sticky one.
Okay,
and of course,
go on.
The change room unrest as well doesn't bode well for him. But some may say that could have been brewing when Nagelsmann was in charge anyway. So, yeah.
Interesting. Coach, quick word then, just to follow up what AJ said. What do you make of the spat between Mane and Sane in the dressing room? Nothing to write home about, or should Bayern fans be concerned?
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
It's true. It's true.
Listen, when you're that level of like when you reach that level of professionalism, sometimes punches are thrown. You see what I'm saying? If you can't hold punches on your lip, then you're not supposed to be in that changing room. It will happen, guys. It will happen because it gets very heated, right? And sometimes, maybe you should have played that ball at the right moment and you didn't, and I'm not happy with, and it just, it just gets blown out of proportion, and then hands are being thrown around. I find it quite bizarre the way that came out. I don't know how that would have come out. For me, that's what I find worrying.
It was.
I know when Nagelsmann was there, he also, in his dying weeks, he mentioned out there's like a snitch or whatever in the camp.
There's a mole. There's a mole.
Maybe that's why Mane was throwing hands, bro. That's why.
Bro. Nah, but that happened.
But guys, I think in men's football, especially at that level, it's nothing to write home about, man. It's very important. I think at times it even sort of like galvanized the team going forward, because in the second leg they can't let up.
So quickly then, gents. Sorry. Are we both saying then this tie is over then?
I think the tie is over. I think Bayern will give it a good shot. I think Bayern will score at the Allianz, but I just think City are too good. They've got too much firepower. 3-0, do you know what? If it was 2-0, I'd say they've got a chance. But 3-0 is such a hard scoreline to overturn, especially against this type of Manchester City side. So I think personally, it's done for them.
Coach, all done?
I don't see any way back. I mean, I predicted it, guys. In our pre-show, I did mention with Tuchel coming in, I fancy them less, in going, not only going through this tie, but going to the end. So to me, it's not a big surprise. Yes, maybe you look at the game 3-0, just like, how do you let that happen in the first leg? But it's Manchester City. Once they get going and you help them by making mistakes, there's only one thing that's going to happen, right? Like AJ will say, 1 + 1 equals Bayern is out.
Quick math.
I love it. Lucky we're not doing pronunciation, Coach?
Oh my days.
Let's turn our attentions to Benfica Inter. So very impressive win for Inter against Benfica, Coach. 2-0.
Yeah. Listen, me and the CL, I don't miss, guys. 2 things in life, CL and PSG, I don't miss.
No, it's not PSG, it's Kylian Saint-Germain, remember.
Kylian Saint-Germain.
Listen, you know what? It's like we predicted, boys, in that, Inter are going to soak in pressure, right? Ride the boat of luck, and then hit them when they least expect it. Because that's what happens, boys. Once, with a team like, you even think about, let's say, Napoli and Manchester City and even Benfica themselves, in the amount of goals they've scored and the brand of football they've played, the brand of football that they have played this season, they're weakest when they have the ball, right? You just have to soak in the pressure, hope that they have a bad day, and then you hit them when it matters most. And so that's what Inter had to do. I think that's Inter's game plan, guys. They don't know any other way of doing it. And they've been playing that formation for a long time, so they know what to expect from each other. And the Italians, defending is just what they do, guys. Defending is what they do. They've achieved so much, whether they're international team or their club teams. And so I wasn't expecting anything more. I didn't think it would have been 2-0 there. I thought they would have gone there, right? Get a draw and then nick the win back in Milan, but they went and done the job. They've done the job in Portugal. Again, 2-0 down. I don't see how Benfica comes back from this. But then again, I predicted that Inter will go through. Because look, similar to sort of like the Bayern Munich and City game, now they're going to go. What's going to be the approach? Are they going to go out attacking again? That won't be any different from what they've done in Portugal. What you do is just you leave yourself open, and you if they can hit you on a counter, guys, it leaves them in such a tough. You can see the manager's like hope just drained out after that penalty. He just gave up. He knew we're not getting back.
Long day.
We're not getting back. And I thought that was a shady penalty to give, man. I expect better from Mike Oliver.
Do you?
Maybe I shouldn't, right?
I do.
Maybe I shouldn't. I thought it's a tough penalty to give, guys.
It was.
The letter of the law is the letter of the law. But I think with penalties, right? If his hand, the ball has the ball had hit his hand before hitting any part of his body, I say fair enough. But once the ball hits your body, then your hand.
It hit his head. And then hit his hands. It was hard.
It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, man. And you can't. It's weird. How do you jump with that high without your hands?
Yeah.
Who's making these rules, guys? Yeah. No, it's a shame. It's a shame, but I think that's another wrap.
AJ, quick words on this one.
I said, I just feel like Inter would have the know-how. I was very surprised Benfica didn't score. We know that they've been in such great free-flowing goal-scoring form, but they had some great chances. Just on the night, they couldn't convert. There were some instances where you look at it, you were like, they have to score here, and they didn't. And then you just knew as the game once Inter scored, you just knew, and it would hold on. And obviously, my boy, Big Rob, you know what I'm saying, does the business. So obviously, the guy at San Siro now. Benfica have to go for the game. They have to. So, like Coach said, they have to do what they did at home, but there's got to be a bit more impetus because they have to save the tie. So, I think that'll be a fascinating watch. Will Inter sit back, soak up pressure, try and hit them on the counter? Or because Inter will be at home, will they take their game to Benfica? So, it just kind of like it's hinged on a few little tactical ploys, but Inter have the upper hand now. So, it's on Benfica.
It is. Let's switch gears then now. Master versus the Apprentice.
I told you it wasn't Master versus Apprentice. Master against kindergarten. Preschool entry. Told you guys.
AJ, what did you make of Real Madrid's 2-0 win at the Bernabeu yesterday?
Listen, Real Madrid weren't even great. That's the worst thing. They weren't even great, but they should have scored about 5. So that tells you the dire state that Chelsea are in. And you just, I don't know, man. Lampard, I just didn't understand the team selection, number one. I didn't understand the selection in terms of the shape. And
sorry, AJ, not to cut you. Was there any point in getting rid of Potter at this stage? Would they have been better off just waiting until the end of the season?
Bro, this is what I'm saying. You should have just kept him. Stick with him till the end of the season and change it if you want to change it. But they decided to bring in Frank, and he's not doing anything different. Anything different at all. In fact, it looks like he's come in, put his arm around the place and said, clean slate, we're all best buddies, everyone fight for the shirt, blah, 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 da, da, da. But there's no tactical nous because Real Madrid weren't great, but Chelsea didn't have the quality to punish them, which was very sad to see. I mean, Vinny had a wonderful game, but his end product was poor. If you actually look at the output and the conversion or the amount of times he made third phase entries and the deliveries and stuff, it was pretty poor, to be fair. But Real Madrid, like I said, have a manager and a team that know how. And their know-how got them over the line yesterday. And to be fair, I love the game. Just watching Real Madrid flow going forward, Vinny going forward. By the way, Rodrigo, oh, that guy is special. That Rodrigo boy, very, very, very special. And it was his... The thing is, Real Madrid didn't do anything that we've never seen before. They were very smart, come in short, set, spin, or fake to come in short and then spin into that gap. So they exploited Chelsea's weakness at the back, which is with their sprint at half, which was the pace, getting in behind Koulibaly, getting in behind Thiago Silva, and just exploiting the space that Chilwell would leave or Reece would leave. So they didn't do anything that was like, oh, wow. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's just Chelsea are lacking in quality and also with the basics. It was always going to be a tough task for Kante to come in after being out injured with that bad hamstring injury for so long. But he actually held his own. I can see him and Fernandes working well. I can see it. I can also see Fernandes into Reece James, that long ball he likes to rake over to. Like, there's little things, but just the quality going forward and defensively, it's just not it. It's just not it. And I think the tie is done.
Coach, would you agree with AJ? Tie is done?
We're at the business end of the season. And in the Champions League, Real Madrid means business. It's just
Simple.
that. They weren't great. But Real Madrid means business, and they know how to win games in Champions League. Unlike AJ, though, I think the personnel from Lampard was correct.
Do you think so?
Maybe one player to change the system, because I thought the system was wrong. If you allow Tony and Luka to get on the ball as much as they did, you might as well have not turned up. You might as well have turned up.
I think you got the system wrong. Well, that's what I mean. I think you got the system completely wrong.
Well, then if you did, then we agree on that. I think the personnel was correct. I don't know if you could put in anyone else more that would have changed it. Like I say, maybe to change the system, you might need to take one player out, maybe from the back or whatnot. And if that's what you have to do, that's what you have to do. I just felt at times watching the game, the gaps were too big. So Chelsea will sit 3 in front. And they weren't pressing. You look at the goal that thing got sent off, not the goal that he got sent off for, the red card that Chilwell got. I mean, guys, that is schoolboy defending, you know. When there's no pressure on the ball, you drop. And how do you get caught out when you're playing 3 at the back, guys? I don't think that should be happening. Not when you're away at the Bernabeu, you're one goal down, you go keep nice and good, see that out, and even if it's 1-0, I think you come back, you can get a goal. I think you can't score a goal against Real Madrid because Chelsea got close a few times.
Yeah.
But with those kind of like final details within the midfield, you're going to lose, guys. That midfield is what's taking Real Madrid from since 2000 and whatever, winning Champions League after Champions League. Luca's there, Tony's there. You've got to stop them from playing, and Chelsea didn't do that. They didn't do that. They stepped away.
Only did that in the first few minutes when Kante broke things up and started driving at their midfield. But then afterwards, there was no pressure whatsoever.
Listen, I don't care. And they say, they say, the world, the earth is covered by 93% of water, and the rest is by N'Golo Kante. And even him, even him will get tired when he's not played any competitive football for that long. And you put him in against the best team in the Champions League,
bro. It's crazy.
He wasn't going to do anything more, guys. I think tactically he got it wrong. But then again, he's looking at his team and he doesn't fancy what they have, which is a bit surprising, you know, because I think you go out and you're confident. Yeah, you lose, but at least you have a go at them as well. The thing with Chelsea, guys, the thing with Chelsea right now, they need someone that will score goals. And unfortunately, the only person at the club that can score goals is Aubameyang. I don't think they've given him a fair crack. I don't think so at all. But that's not Lampard's problem. That was Graham's problem. Then you ask a good question, why let Graham go? But the GP's gone now. And now Lampard is going to have to take over this team, and it's become his problem. It shouldn't be Lampard's problem, but it is now. And he's got to find a way to get through. Again, I thought at 1-0, you know, it's okay. A 2-0 deficit, Chelsea, the way they look, is too much. It's too much. Like, I look at Raheem Sterling yesterday, and I'm thinking they could have played with 10 men and they wouldn't have made a difference, you know?
He's not fit. You can tell he's not fit.
It's a shame to look at them. But they're in quarter-final, guys. Look, Real Madrid can concede goals. And I think they would at the at Stamford Bridge, but I don't see how Chelsea overcome a 2-0 deficit, boys. Unfortunately, it seems after the first leg, most teams are out for sure.
No. There's one tie.
Let's talk about that tie then, AJ. Milan 1-0 winners against Napoli. No Osimhen for Napoli. So do you still feel this tie is in the balance? I mean, it really is, isn't it? 1-0 scoreline for Milan.
I did say though, I said depending on whether he plays or not will determine whether AC win or not. But remember the psychological advantage AC had over them was it 2 weeks ago now where they beat them 4-0. So we talk about psychological elements of football and momentum. So of course AC came into this game up here like we can do these again. And also, the main boy is not here. So it played out in the game, but it was a tighter game than what it... Well, we can tell by the scoreline it was a tight game. And they're saying that Victor is going to be fit for the return leg, which changes everything now. So, you know, it's going to hinge on 2 things. Number 1, AC's game plan. And number 2, AC's mental fortitude. Because I can guarantee you one thing. Napoli will throw the kitchen sink at them. Spalletti's not the guy who's going to sit back and try and soak up pressure. He's going to go for it. Obviously, Anguissa got a red, so we'll see how he shuffles the pack. But as long as Victor's fit, and Napoli also had chances last night. So it's not like they didn't have chances. They had a few chances. So I think it hinges on 3 things. AC Milan's game plan, their mental fortitude, because I tell you something for free, Napoli are coming for them. And I think Napoli will do it. That's the only tie I think will be overturned.
I mean, we saw a lot of fouls yesterday. A lot of, you know, maybe that's the tactic for AC Milan, really, isn't it? Slow down Napoli, break the play up a bit.
Listen, we all know that Napoli play high-octane football, high-tempo football. They like to play with a bit of speed. So the best way to stop a team that plays with a high tempo is to break them down. Niggly fouls, take time over throw-ins, take time over set pieces, strategic letting players go down, break up the rhythm. If you understand football and you understand how teams work, and certain teams, they like their pattern of play to be with a certain tempo and stuff, as the protagonist, what you will do is you'll slow them down. You'll break things up. You'll try and disrupt their rhythm and their flow. So then they don't have a chance to get their passing patterns and their movement and things going. And I felt like AC did that quite well yesterday. And then, of course, they scored the goal that they needed. So it'll be very interesting the return leg. But one thing I do know is Napoli are coming with a full Arsenal. And it's going to be a great game. I'm excited. I'm excited for that game.
Coach, earlier on you said when it comes to the Champions League quarterfinals, Madrid mean business. Well, could we say the same thing about AC Milan? They, of course, have a rich history in terms of the Champions League. This isn't obviously the AC Milan of old with Nesta, Maldini, etc. But, teams that tend to have an affinity with Europe, whether that's Liverpool, Madrid, AC Milan, always tend to turn up for these occasions.
And, that's a great way to pose the question, because I was thinking about it. There are a few stadiums, right? No matter what team you're playing, if you go to that stadium and on your A game, it's a wrap for you, right?
True.
And just to slightly go back, I was thinking about the same thing. Could Chelsea overturn this tie against Real Madrid? I don't think at Stamford Bridge, the fans will get behind Chelsea and intimidate Real Madrid to the point where Chelsea could win. Like the atmosphere is at Anfield, for example, right? It's a similar thing at Bayern Munich, the way I'm looking at it. But at 1-0, the Napolitanos are going to give it to Real Madrid boys. Yeah. To AC Milan. They're going to turn up, and these guys are very intimidating. Yeah. Very intimidating. And so that's the two things they got going for them, right? That it's only 1-0. Hopefully their striker will come back, and they are home now. Because for this season, for some reason, Milan has been Napoli's Achilles heel. But they need to get something done, man. They need to get something done, because you can't be so good for a big chunk of the season, then come to the business end, like I say, and then just crumble against a team like AC Milan. But we're looking at the person and you're thinking, that shouldn't be a contest. But like you say, Big Will, the fans know how. There's an aura about that club on how to win Champions Leagues and Champions League nights and what it's about. I can imagine you're walking through the stadium, because I haven't been to the San Siro. You see these images that just empower you. You step onto the pitch, the spirits of the Maldinis are on the field, bro. So you got that going for you. I think it. Listen, the second leg is going to be a great show, mate. They should put it on Netflix or something for people to watch.
Yeah. And AJ, you mentioned the fact that, for me personally, when Napoli lost 4-0 to Milan, you sort of had questions of whether or not, Napoli was so reliant on Osimhen. But then yesterday, they lost 1-0, but they still had quite a few chances. So for me, that showed me that they can still get by without him.
100%. Well, they can get by. Getting by losing 1-0. Yeah. So it's not. I think the way Spalletti has set up his troops is they will always create chances, but just Victor gives them another level. He gives them another level of and it's not just his goal scoring ability; it's everything else. Another level of link-up play, another level of pressing, another level of holding the ball up, another level of bringing players into the game. So it's kind of like, they can get by, they can create chances and probably score a couple goals here and there, or the odd goal here and there. But when he's in the team, they go to another level. And you can see that. You can see in his link-up with Kvaratskhelia. You can see that the way he galvanizes them, the way the fans love him. So he is, I like to call him Mr. Napoli, because of the way he leads that line. And sometimes just having that person in the squad or even on the bench or even starting, even if it's not 100% fit, it inspires you as a team to go out and get a result. So yes, they'll always create chances because of the type of football they play and the way they've been molded to play. With Spalletti's wonderful ideas and the tempo and stuff, but he gives them another level. And so, listen, like I told you guys on a preview, if Leao wants to play football, he's got to turn it on because he's got all the attributes in the world. So if Leao turns up and then Victor turns up, well then you know how it is. Once Victor turns up, his partner, Kvaratskhelia, is going to turn up, and then there's curtains. So, for me, it's a Napoli vibe.
I think one thing for sure, we can say whatever we want about Serie A, but they got 4 or is it 5 teams still in Euro competitions. I think that's brilliant, more so than any other European country. So they're doing really well.
Yeah.
Unfortunate, the way it's at now, one of them will definitely be out. Whether it will be Milan or Napoli is to be seen. But I think Napoli have enough personnel to get the game, to cross the line with or without Osimhen. The only thing, right, is that when you've been so successful as they have been, with him almost playing every game, the tactical approaches, let's feed him, right? And the runs and the patterns are all surrounding his movements to get him on the ball, to get a goal. The moment one person comes out, guys, it can crumble the whole cake,
That's right.
It can really cause a damage. And I think you've seen that in a little bit of their results lately. It's been a little bit of in their results. So they need to get him back quick. The last time I saw Osimhen, though, he was on Instagram with P Square. I don't know what he's doing, guys. These footballers.
Bro, how did you see that? I haven't seen. How do you see things like this,
bro? He's on Instagram with P Square, and I'm thinking to myself, the last footballer I knew that was hanging around with footballers. The last footballer I see hanging around with musicians. What's that Arsenal kid's name? That Frimpong. What happened to him? Chris also be all these guys, bro. Go and play football, man. Go and play football. They want you back. But I think they got enough to see this game over. So it'll be interesting to see what he's going to do, whether he's fit or not fit.
Yeah, and just to pick on your point, Coach, what you talked about in terms of Napoli, like once that player goes, because you played with him whole season, how do they switch up? So when I sort of thought about that, I thought about Arteta and the fact that Gabriel Jesus was out for maybe 3 months, yet Arsenal was still able to win games and find a way to win. So I think just thinking of that just made me think of Arteta and what he's done with Arsenal. So,
but here's the difference. So even when Jesus was there, right, he wasn't the focal point when it came to scoring goals. He only had 5 or whatever many goals that he had. So goals were coming from everywhere within the team, right? So Nketiah steps in, he chips in a few. Martinelli scores, Saka scores. But with Napoli, he was just scoring goals. So they were overly relying on him to get them the goals, right? And so that's why I make the point that a lot of their play will be surrounded around him and his movements and the way we can deliver balls to him and the ways he wants balls delivered to him. And then you change it and you might bring in, I don't know, Simeone or Politano, whatever I think I've got his name right there anyway. And they are different kinds, and then everyone needs to sort of almost change what they've been taught and been doing for so regularly in the season, right? And I think that can do something to a team. Whether I'm right or wrong, the result seems to prove me right? The evidence is that they are having a bit of difficulty in replacing him, at least so far anyway.
For sure. So that does it for our Champions League quarterfinal preview. Again, get in touch with us on YouTube, on Twitter, on Instagram and TikTok if you have any views on all the action that's taken place this week. But we'll be back next week. I think Coach is in Italy, so he might give us some good Italian cooking next week.
Italian vibes. Get us a couple size shirts, Coach.
That's it, from your boy Lukaku. Until then, we'll see you next time.